In countries like Japan, South Korea, and China, the number of single adults has been steadily increasing over the past decade. In Japan alone, more and more people are choosing to remain unmarried while in their 30s and 40s. Many consider working long hours, economic pressure, and a desire for personal freedom are the reason why they prefer to stay single. There is even a common term used to describe people who are not interested in traditional relationships, not because they can't date, but because they chose not to. In South Korea, single person households have become one of the fastest growing household types. High living cost, career pressure, and shifting values around marriage have made many people prioritize independence and stability before or instead of settling down. In China, marriage rates have dropped significantly in recent years, especially among younger adults. Rising cost of living, housing pressure, and changing expectations around marriage have made many people delay or opt out entirely. I think what all of these countries have in common is this: people are more educated, more financially aware, and more conscious of emotional well being. Singlehood is no longer just a phase. In many places, it's becoming a long term lifestyle choice. So when we talk about people choosing to stay single, it's not a personal failure or a modern trend, it's a global shift. Personally, I have been noticing something lately, not just online, but in my surroundings. More and more people are choosing to stay single, not because they failed at relationships, not because they are bitter or they're giving up, but because they're choosing differently. They're becoming more intentional about making decisions for themselves. This video isn't about convincing anyone to stay single, and it's definitely not about criticizing marriage or relationships. It is simply about, understanding why this shift is happening and why more and more people, especially adults in their 30s, 40s, and beyond, are choosing singlehood intentionally. Just think of this as a quiet conversation that we will be having. I hope you are currently comfortable. Probably you're already done doing your household chores, like you've already washed your dishes, or you already did your laundry, fold your clothes, whatever it is. And hopefully you also have your tea or matcha with you or coffee. And we're just gonna go ahead and start this conversation together. All right, so I think that the first reason why people are deciding to intentionally choose to stay single is because people are choosing peace over pressure, because peace is becoming their priority. Many of us grew up believing that adulthood automatically meant getting married, having children, building a family by a certain age. But for a lot of people, those timelines didn't feel natural. They kind of felt forced. Being single allows people to move at their own pace. No pressure to meet expectations, no pressure to settle just to keep up. And for many, staying single isn't loneliness, it's a relief. I personally feel very lucky because I was born into a culture that doesn't strongly enforce marriage timelines or arrange marriages the way some other culture do. I have coworkers from countries where marriage is still deeply tied to traditions and family expectations, especially for women. Many of them grew up knowing there's a right age to get married, and delaying it often brings pressure, judgment, or concern from relatives. For some, marriage isn't really about personal readiness, it's about uh, fulfilling expectations tied to honor, stability, and family duty. While some of them eventually found happiness and fulfillment in becoming wives and mothers, I've also had a few open up to me and say something very honest. They told me that if they had been given the chance to choose freely, they wouldn't have married so early. They would have stayed single longer, enjoyed their 20s, chased their dreams, and probably live life on their own terms until they truly felt ready to get married, until they truly felt ready to settle down. The next possible reason, I guess, is financial independence. For much of history, women weren't allowed to work or even earn their own money. In many societies, financial decisions were made entirely by fathers or husbands. Even today, in some cultures and countries, women still face restrictions, legal, cultural, or social, that limit their ability to work, earn, travel freely, or build independence. I guess for me, this history is one reason why financial freedom now holds so much meaning. And another big reason people are choosing to stay single is because financial independence has changed relationship dynamics. People no longer need relationships for survival, they choose them for companionship. And when survival isn't the reason, standards naturally rise. People start asking, does this relationship add value to my life? Does it bring peace or stress? Does it support who I'm becoming? If the answer isn't clear, then I guess many people will just stay single. Working at the airport, I have witnessed moments like this that really stayed with me. Um, I've seen families from very traditional cultures where the husband carries the passport, handles all the money, makes every decision. The wife often stays quiet, focused only on the children. I remember one situation where a family had excess baggage fees that they have to settle. That time, the husband went to the restroom, and I was trying to, explain the situation to the wife. And when I asked her whether they are willing to pay or maybe reduce their baggage instead, as soon as as soon as I look in her eyes directly, there's a look of fear. Like she's not allowed to say anything until the husband comes back, that she's not allowed to talk nor speak or make any kind of decisions. But more than that, she looks so scared. And she just simply motioned to me that she needed to wait for her husband, which of course I respected. We were like waiting for her husband to come back. So I was kind of just, I've done everything, I've done the documents check and all that. We will simply need to finalize the baggage. So I was just trying to keep my hands and my eyes busy and not to look at her directly because it looks like she's, becoming uncomfortable when I do that. So I was just looking down and checking the passport, and I saw that she was so young. And at a very young age, she already had four children. And I'm just so shocked and surprised. And I guess that explains why she cannot make any decision. But come on, having four kids in that age, that's why it made me wonder if she ever had a chance to at least, discover her talents, her interests, or her potential. Maybe she could have been an artist, a speaker, a businesswoman. We'll never know. I understand this is the life many are born into and taught to accept, but I just can't help but sometimes feel sad for the experiences and opportunities taken away from these women at such a very young age. The third reason could be emotional awareness is higher than before. People today are more emotionally aware than ever, and there's more conversations around emotional labor, boundaries, trauma, attachment styles, mental health, you name it. And once people become aware, it's very hard to unsee unhealthy patterns. Many people would rather be single than repeat cycles of emotional neglect, imbalance, or those unhealthy compromise. Singlehood becomes a conscious choice, not a fallback. I've always been very observant. I notice patterns, I watch, I listen, and even when I don't say much, I learn. I've seen friends, relatives, coworkers go through painful relationships, some ending quietly, others involving betrayal, abuse, financial exploitation, or deep emotional damage. I personally do not judge them. I truly believe that they were just human beings who loved deeply and tried their best. But I do learn from their experiences. I try my best to learn from their mistakes. I believe sometimes intuition isn't negativity, it is protection. You may call me superstitious or whatever, but I truly believe that the lessons we witness around us can be the universe quietly guiding us away from harm. I also want to say this clearly: there are happy marriages, and I've seen them too. All right, so just to make things clear, my father passed away when I was just 8 years old, and my mother followed her years later, both due to illness. Watching someone lose a partner, um, not through divorce, but through death, is another reality people rarely talk about. Some people want love, but they kind of fear being in a relationship because they fear being left alone again through sickness or maybe accidents or loss, all sorts of things. And that fear is valid too. So it's not only about you're scared to be in a relationship because you'll be cheated on, or this particular person will steal your money or whatever. It's not only about those kind of situation. They're also about natural forces that could happen, like illnesses, which is the case for my parents. The next reason could be many people have seen relationships fail up close. Another reason why many people are choosing to stay single is simply because they have seen way too much. Not online, not in movies, but up close. And I've seen relationship that started with so much love, effort, and belief, the kind where everyone thought, this is it. This will last forever. I've watched people fight hard for their marriages, emotionally, financially, mentally, only to still lose themselves in the process. I guess what stays with me isn't just the breakup that I have witnessed, it's what comes after. The exhaustion, the financial strain, the slow rebuilding of confidence and identity. I have seen people stay because they were afraid to start over. I have seen people leave because staying was slowly breaking them, or people are just staying because of the kids, because of their families. They're worried about what the other people might say. And when you witness that enough times, you stop romanticizing relationships. And that's exactly what happened to me. You start asking questions like, is love alone enough? Is effort enough if the balance is always uneven? Or is commitment worth it if it costs your peace? So, like, for me, observing these things didn't make me bitter. It just made me careful. It made me realize that staying single isn't always about fear. Sometimes it's about awareness. The next possible reason could be personal freedom. I guess another reason people are choosing to stay single is because personal freedom finally feels real and is definitely highly valued now. Not freedom in a dramatic way, but freedom in the smallest, most everyday moments. For me, being single taught me who I am when no one is watching. I can be ugly in peace at my own space. I learn how to like my mornings, how I like my space, how I like my silence. I have my own way of, arranging my furnitures. I have my own way of organizing my fridge. I have my own way of feeding myself. I learned that rest is not laziness for me. It's survival. That quiet is not emptiness, it's clarity. I've been single for a long time now, and somewhere along the way, I became deeply comfortable with my own company. So comfortable that the idea of sharing my space, my routines, my energy no longer feels automatic. It doesn't mean I hate love, it means I simply respect the life I have built for myself. And I'm so used to it now that it would feel very weird to just have another human being, you know, in my space other than myself. And for many people, once they experience that level of autonomy, they realize how much they've been compromising in the past, sometimes without even noticing it. So I guess, singlehood offers breathing room. And once you taste that, it's hard to let it go. I guess the next reason, which is number six, is that people are redefining what a good life looks like. A good life used to follow a script, marriage, having kids, um, getting a great job so you'll have stability. You earn money, you buy a house, you buy a car, you grow a family. And while that life is still beautiful for some, it's no longer the only definition of life. Personally, my idea of a good life changed quietly, not overnight. I simply stopped chasing noise. I stopped chasing approval. I stopped forcing myself into spaces that actually drain me. I stopped following tradition. Instead, I started noticing what actually made me feel okay. Slow mornings, simple routines, time alone without guilt, work that feels aligned instead of exhausting me. I guess this all started when I became obsessed at watching YouTube vlogs. I would watch vlogs by this single Japanese Korean women who lives alone, who cooks for themselves. They are normal human beings. They go to their job, they come home, take care of themselves, do their groceries, do the dishes, do some things to pamper themselves after those household chores. They go out with their friends, and then after that, they come back home, eat their favorite food, watch their favorite film, just sit at home, read books, just this kind of lifestyle became my thing. So I guess that's where I realized that, oh, it's actually okay to be alone. It's a time for me to realize that being alone is actually not an issue, that there's nothing wrong with being alone. And watching other single people, especially women living alone, creating quiet lives for themselves, helped me see that fulfillment doesn't always come from partnership or having a significant other. Sometimes it comes from alignment, from living in a way that feels honest. And for many people, staying single allows them to build a life that fits them, not one they are constantly adjusting to please others. Reason number seven, I guess, is being single is no longer seen as a problem to fix. Like, finally, one of the biggest shifts is perception. Being single used to feel like something you have to explain all the time, or something you have to defend or justify from people. I remember a time when people asked me why I was still single, and the question felt heavy. But nowadays, it feels a lot lighter because more of us or more people around me are becoming single too. And more importantly, they are okay with it and they are starting to really embrace it. I have two coworkers who recently broke up with their partners. The other one is a long term relationship, the other one is kind of just like, you know, a seasonal relationship. And then these are the people who always keep teasing me as to why I'm single. And now they are really enjoying being single. And now they will always tell me, "Oh, Abby is right. Abby is smart. She decided to stay single so she can have all this freedom, all this time for herself, which we are also enjoying now." So that kind of make me laugh, but contented at the same time. And deep inside, I don't know if I was really able to help them, but I am grateful if I am considered an inspiration because My workplace alone, I see many single people living full lives now. They travel, they rest, they support their families, they enjoy their times with their friends. But I've also listened to some of my married coworkers who shares their struggles. These are moments where, I mean, I don't really ask personal questions to people, but these coworkers of mine are the ones who open up to me. And I guess at that time they just needed someone to talk to, and I was there. I just listened, and they kind of share with me how they are envious of single people because they thought that single people doesn't have any stress in life. I mean, we do, but not the same kind of stress that they are having. But she was very open about sharing her struggles with her husband, financial stress, emotional exhaustion, some family related issues and pressures from relatives and all that. And I couldn't give her an advice because I've never been in a married a relationship before. So I was just there listening to her. And sorry, I'm just checking if my mic is still on. And while I was listening to her, it made me realize something really important. No life path is automatically easier than the other. Singlehood isn't loneliness by default, and marriage isn't happiness by default. They are just different choices. And today, more people feel allowed to say, this is the life that works for me. And maybe it will also work for you. I guess when people ask why so many are choosing to stay single, the answer isn't fear, failure, or bitterness. It's going to be more awareness, intention. It's choosing a life that feels livable. Choosing to stay single doesn't mean you are rejecting love, doesn't mean you are closing doors. It simply means choosing yourself, your peace, your growth, your timing. You are choosing those things now as your top priority in life. And that choice looks so different for everyone. If you are watching this video because you are also single, or you are about to be single, or you know anyone that are single and you are quite confused why they act a certain way and how they manage to survive life without having a romantic partner, this could probably all the possible reasons that will explain them. And if you are someone who's also single and you're feeling as if there's something wrong with you, don't feel that way. You're not alone. There's nothing wrong with us. We're completely fine. And we don't need to justify our life choices to anyone. Thank you so much for sitting with me today. And thank you for being with me until the end of this video. And I hope to see you again on my next one. Bye.